everyone. I'm Donna Bush with your CIG-TV News Brief and weather forecast on this Friday. As always, thanks for being here with us. On Thursday morning, Cayman Islands government leaders and senior civil servants were part of a pre-joint ministerial council meeting with leaders of other British overseas territories. Now, a series of meetings are held with OT leaders to discuss issues of importance as a group as they prepare for the upcoming JMC meetings being held in the UK later this year. Thursday's meeting was chaired by Bermuda's Premier, the Honourable E. David Burt. The pre-JMC was launched as an initiative of the United Kingdom Overseas Territories Association, or UKOTA, which exists to promote the interest of the territories and the cooperation between them. Minister Juliana O'Connor-Connolly tours the Water Authority. The statutory authority falls under the minister, who is responsible for district administration and lands. The refamiliarization visit covered the authority's 5 facilities here on Grand Cayman.
It was like, you know, the hot water was system water, the cold water.
Every time I get an opportunity as a minister, getting responsibilities, whenever I can, I always try to ask the Water Authority. It's by no accident. It's highly staffed by very competent Caymanians and residents who have opted to make Cayman their domicile of choice. It's headed by Ms. Julia, and her record is impeccable. The Water Authorities have been operating with a profit over the many years to the extent that they can contribute a dividend to the government, but more importantly, it's a natural resource. And as we nation build and go towards sustainability within this country, water is one of those precious commodities that we have to ensure that it's a national safety policy. And not only has she been able to do that and implement it, but they are visionary and we're always planning for the future. So whenever we had an earthquake or we had a threat of tsunami or whether we had Paloma or Ivan, people know that the Water Authority is going to be up and running as soon as possible as any other utilities. I'm always extremely proud not only to visit them, but to give them whatever support we can from the ministry as well as in Parliament.
Now, the tour was led by the director of the Water Authority, Dr. Julia Frederick Van Genderen, who met the minister's delegation at their first stop to the Water Authority's head offices. The visit was also an opportunity to highlight progress made on various projects and initiatives. The authority's staff also welcomed the chance to interact with the minister directly and share more about their work to help meet the authority's mission of providing the community with potable water and safely managed wastewater. Minister O'Connor-Connolly visited the main offices, the Lower Valley Waterworks, the East End Reservoir site, the well field, and the wastewater treatment plant. Youth parliamentarians have been training for their roles in the CPA's annual Youth Parliament this Saturday, the 29th of May. Now, viewers can watch the entire live event here on CIG television and on our YouTube channel. This year, 22 young people will participate and will debate 2 private members' motions. Youth Parliament generally takes place on Commonwealth Day in early March. This year, it had to be postponed. Again, our live coverage of Youth Parliament starts at 10 a.m. this Saturday, the 29th of March. New fire service recruits and other officers continued their quality assurance training with a visiting fire training officer recently. The instructor was on island for 13 weeks to conduct the training, which included breathing apparatus, supervisor reevaluation, train the trainer, and a basic introduction to hazardous materials.
It's basically about competency-based training. You can train somebody up to a certain level, so they know the basic understandings and the fundamentals, but then you've got to keep on going with the competency-based training, which is in the fire service is ongoing. They're fully prepared now, yes, to go on the run, but the training hasn't finished. They basically just reached the level to become a firefighter within the service, but their training will continue for another minimum of 6 months, and possibly even into the next few years, depending if they end up on the domestic side of things or the aviation side of things.
Because it falls under the CAA, they have to be actually licensed. Unlike the domestic, they have to have a license saying that they're qualified and certified to work on the aerodrome. And so this training was part and parcel of that qualification for them to be able to work on aviation, which they'll be working on both sections, domestic and aviation, but this qualifies them for aviation firefighting.
Mr. Wright is also providing recommendations on ways that the fire service can improve and build on its current structure. Chief Fire Officer Paul Walker says the goal is to build a strong and forward-looking fire service that is a center of excellence, as well as provides training to firefighting partners in the Caribbean and at an international level. Turning now to today's forecast, the high temperature reached 88 degrees, the low 77. We can expect partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers throughout the day. Winds are from the east to southeast at 5 knots or less. Sea conditions are smooth with wave heights of less than 2 feet. Now, the synopsis for this Friday shows light winds and slight seas, which are expected over the Cayman area. For the next 24 hours, it's all due to a weak pressure gradient across the Caribbean. Isolated showers are also expected today, as mentioned earlier, as an upper-level trough moves across the northwest Caribbean region. A reminder that you can find the local weather online at weather.gov.ky. And that's it for today's news brief here on CIG Television. I'm Donna Bush, as always, inviting you to join us back here again on Monday. Until then, I wish you a safe and, of course, a wonderful weekend.
Boating, fishing, and water sports in the Cayman Islands are great, but keep a cool head. Here are 7 tips for fun and safe sea outings. Number 1. Use a checklist to plan your outing. Check the weather forecast, make a float plan, and share it with someone who is remaining on land, stating where you're going, with whom, and when you're expected to return. Visit your nearest marine supply store to get your safety gear. This includes signaling mirrors, whistles, and a flare kit. It's also very important to have onboard flotation devices and life vests for each person. There are different types of vests. Some are for water sport activities such as snorkeling, and others are for going on offshore boating or on fishing trips. Number 2. These items can be lifesavers in case of an accident or bad weather. Number 3. Use a motor kill switch, especially if you're boating alone. In case of a leak or breakdown, always stay with the boat until help arrives. If you capsize, an emergency beacon or locator device can send a distress signal to inform the authorities of your location. Larger flares will indicate distress to a boat, airplane, or search and rescue officials. Number 4. In addition to sunscreen, food, and beverages, it would be smart to have a cell phone. Make sure your marine radio works. Cayman's boaters use Channel 16 to communicate. Number 5. Also, don't forget your anchor and sufficient rope. Number 6. Boat operators should be familiar with the local waters and reefs, as well as the capabilities and functions of the vessels they are using. Always obey the rules of the sea and the marine environment, and have courtesy for others. Number 7. Alcohol and salt water do not mix, especially if you're the captain. Some useful contact numbers are 911. The RCIPS Marine Base is 649-7710, and the Port Authority is 949-2055. Smooth sailing, all!
Join Donna Bush weekdays at 6 p.m. for the CIG TV News Update. Get the latest on what's happening in government on a daily basis. News Update first at 6 p.m.